Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and it's my great pleasure today to welcome Marion Endicott onto my show. Welcome, Marion.
Thank you, Steve. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Marion and I are old friends and colleagues, really. Marion has worked pretty well her whole career representing injured and disabled workers. And as many of you know, I've been an advocate for injured workers, and I myself am hurt at work. So I'm 30, it's almost 37 years ago now. And we've been kind of working together for almost that long, probably 30 years or almost. And Marion has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and you all are going to benefit a little bit from some of that right now. So
Well, thank
Marion,
you.
let's just start a little bit. Give us some background for you. How did you get involved in this stuff? Where are you at?
Well, I got involved just by chance, but I got involved, practically 40 years ago, which I guess is more to the point. So I've seen, many, many pieces of legislation pass through relating to injured workers and compensation for them, injured and workers made ill by their jobs, and talked to many, many ministers of labor, et cetera, and seen a lot of changes. And my work has been through my employment at a community legal clinic in Toronto called Injured Workers Consultants Community Legal Clinic. It's funded by Legal Aid Ontario. It's an independent organization with its own board of directors. And our mandate is to do casework, to represent workers individually. And on the basis of that, of course, we have a hands-on insight into what actually happens to people after injury. And our mandate is also to get involved in law reform, to think about the issues and to press for changes, and to mobilize the community with the understanding that those who are not wealthy need to come together to have their voices heard together to make change. And additionally, to be involved in research. So those are kind of the general areas that I've worked in over the years, and all of them have been really, really enjoyable. And a lot of them with you, Steve.
Right on.
And together we've done a lot of great stuff.
So just to make it clear for our viewers, so your employer, the Injured Workers Consultants, it's publicly funded.
Yes.
So there's no fee that's charged for people.
Correct.
Everything you do is gratis to people who need your legal assistance.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. That is right.
Okay. And so you've been doing it pretty much 40 years, individual representation,
Yes.
as well as working with the community, being involved in the political process. And then you talked about research. No, how does that have anything to do with research?
Well, when I first started this area of work, basically we would manage to arrange meetings with the Minister of Labor or with the head of the workers' compensation system, or the various heads of it, and other people of importance who were decision makers in all this. And they would listen to the stories that we brought about what was happening to injured workers, and listen to our recommendations. And increasingly over the years, we brought the injured workers with us as well, and had them speak themselves about what was happening to them, and we would help to give context to that. And we found that was very effective, and it's still effective in a way. However, at a certain point, basically the mid-90s, kind of political shift went on, where what people had to say individually mattered less than somehow a distant voice, basically in the form of research. And so we'd go and tell what we saw happening. They'd say, "Prove it. You're telling me one thing, but maybe there's a whole bunch of other things out there. Prove it." And so we thought, "Prove it? And we thought, okay, prove it. So prove it means research. We need research. Well, we weren't academics. We weren't researchers. We did do our own little research in a way, as you did here. But really, we knew we needed the stamp of the scientific, academic background to any research. And so we went out and began to try to find that. It took us a long time, but eventually we did. And we can talk about that if you want. But that was the importance of research, was to really back up what was happening, an explanation of what was happening, to prove it. And not only to prove it, but through the researchers, there was language given to things that was language that we didn't necessarily have. So for example, there's one researcher, Joan Eakin is her name. She's proved to be just a wonderful person to talk to and listen to. And she did a piece of research early on in nothing to do with us, but that we became aware of early on in our endeavor to link with academics. And she studied what happened to employers and to workers after a worker got injured and then tried to return to work. And, you know, they're off in small businesses. And often there would be, you know, kind of the idea before an injury that this is a family. We work together and, you know, that kind of thing. And then somehow after the injury, there was difficulty. The employer didn't want to have the injured worker back because they couldn't really be productive, and the injured worker or the employer would be trying to get the injured worker back too fast because they were getting pressure from the board to do so. Like, there were all sorts of complications, and the compensation system itself was not helping. It was, in fact, delivering in a way incentives that kept the injured worker and the employer apart or at loggerheads with each other.
And if I recall, this was the time when early and safe return to work became the mantra at the Workers' Compensation Board in Ontario.
That is right. That is
Okay.
right. Yes, yes. And so there was a huge amount of pressure on injured workers and employers for injured workers not to be on benefits for very long at all, and a kind of a theory that healing happens at work, and, you know, just get back to work and it'll all be fine. But anyway, that was not working well. And Joan, in her study, you know, talked to employers and talked to injured workers. And what she discovered as a result of that was that injured workers in this early and safe return to work process were entering the world of the discourse of abuse, she called it. And we read that, we said, yes, that's what it is. It's the discourse of abuse. And suddenly we had that terminology, and we had that background to what that meant through an academic perspective and through a study that obviously was scientifically putting together people's stories.
Right, and Joan Eakin, now she was working at the University of Toronto.
Yes.
In the School of Public Health.
Yes.
So here she was well positioned as a neutral academic to really shine light on what was really happening.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We need to take a short little break.
Okay.
Please stay with us. We'll be right back.